so I think we are on. Yeah, we're good to go. Alright, so hello. Hopefully this is working. If you're on live, make sure you say hi, let me know that you're here. As always, these trainings are always better when there are people on, because you can ask questions, you can engage with me a little bit as we go along. Alright, so if you're live, make sure you stick with me, get a drink or a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, depending on what time of the day it is, and we can dive in. Alright, so for those of you that don't know, this training is all about the 5 mindset hacks that you can do, that you can use, that you can address, so then you can sell more powerfully, right, and be a bit more influential in the way that you sell. Alright, so for those of you that don't know who I am either, alright, my name is Mike, and I am a coach, I'm an entrepreneur, I've got a whole host of things going on. Hi Mary, alright? Good to see you. Well, good to read you. And I help people with their mindset, their mental state, get themselves in the best place to succeed so that they can sell powerfully and actually increase their level of selling. Alright, so I work with people that can either double their selling, double their conversion rates, or sell things that are more expensive than they used to sell, so their return on their investment is instantly that much bigger. Alright, so that is how I now officially moving forwards work. Alright, so mindset's been something I do for years, and thanks to the feedback I've been getting from yourselves based on what you're struggling with, what you want to achieve, what's the biggest things that are in your way, it all comes around this idea of needing to earn a certain amount of money, right? Needing to earn a certain amount of income so you can live the life that you want. Ultimately, this is about the life that you want. So when we go through these and when we think about these mindset hacks that I'm going to share with you tonight or today, is all about, okay, how can this fit into the way I already do things? How will this help me get to the level that I want to get to? There's no point in just watching this. There's no point in just watching the training and going, oh, that was really great, and then nothing changes. I want you to think about, after each one, I want you to think about, what change can I make? What slight adjustment can I make to the way I currently do things? Alright? That would make all the difference to me when it comes to making sure you get the most out of today. Alright? So, we'll dive straight in. Alright, any questions as we're going along, put them below, I will read them. If not, that's fine. If you're on the replay, hashtag replay, and let me know what your questions are so I can dive back in and I can come back and I know that you've watched the replay rather than watched live. Alright, so that's all I ask for that. Okay? So the first hack that I'm going to give you is belief. The first hack I'm going to give you is you've got to believe in whatever it is that you're selling, and believe whatever it is that you are actually doing as well. Alright, so what do I mean by that? Well, there's a difference between believing in the product, believing in the service, and believing in yourself. They are the 3 different things that you would have to believe in. This is the 3 things that are underneath this idea of belief. Is if you don't have those 3 things, product, service, and yourself, where you get into the pressure of selling something. So maybe you're selling something where the price point is a little bit higher than what you're comfortable with. So this is where selling is more uncomfortable the less you're clear on something, the less you're in alignment with what you're comfortable with. When you try and sell something that also puts you in an uncomfortable position, these things are exaggerated. Alright? So in a normal situation, you need to be calm, you need to be no pressure whatsoever, so then if things do get heated, you're ready for it. Alright, so this is where experience comes in. Because if you've got experience selling packages that are £50,000, then when it's like, oh well, someone's selling a car for 15,000, it's like, well, I can sell that, because the pressure of selling something that's a little bit less, that's still valuable, right? There's an element of training that comes into it, an element of belief in yourself, and a belief that you can actually sell whatever it is that you're selling. Alright? And then it's the belief in the product or the service? Can it deliver? Do you believe that whatever it is that you're selling will achieve a certain thing for someone, solve a certain problem, actually do what was intended by it? If it can do that, then you've got the belief in the product or the service nailed down. But when it comes to belief in yourself, I wrote an article about this on Medium, which you can probably check out below if you're in the group. You need to believe in yourself, which comes from confidence, which also comes from experience. Alright, the majority of the confidence that we feel comes from our past, it comes from our previous experience. So the second one is confidence. So you sort of see how these filter up or filter down that little bit, because we go deeper and deeper. Okay, belief is the thing that we want, belief is the thing that we feel. Alright, we feel this level of confidence in ourselves. Confidence comes from experience. It can also come from trusting yourself. So this is where the confidence side comes in. It's about trusting yourself. That's what it comes down to. Can you deliver it? So when we think about it, the more confident you are, the easier things are, right? So because you're confident in yourself, because you've got this confidence that comes from yourself, rather than looking for it externally, you can get it internally. You can take it in any situation. So you can take it in sales conversations, you can take it on the stage, you can take it wherever you decide to sell. Jay, in your eyes? So people sell from the stage in front of thousands of people. People sell on sales calls. People sell products or services or experiences that range from 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures, and there are people out there that do it because they don't latch on to the possible negative side. These people are confident enough to sell that way because of their experience. But this is experience that people take no matter what, as in positive experience or negative experience. A negative past, chances are you pull from, and it can cause a negative present, right? So if you had a bad experience when selling, if you've never sold before, your brain runs through the what if you can't do it, what if you're not good enough, all those things, that is still your present, still your past that you're bringing in with you into the sales conversations. So one of the things that we like to do, or we like to say, is when you're present in the moment and not thinking about anything else, people tend to sell better because they're not taking their past with them and they're not worried about the future. They can focus on the sales conversation and the person in front of them. So you're focusing on the person or people in that moment right now rather than thinking about anything else. Alright? And when you do that, it's not about being confident, or it's not about having the belief in yourself. It's about not having the negative side. It's not about, all the anxiousness and the nervousness and the fear and everything else that all comes up for you when you don't do certain things. It's not about being overly confident and overly boisterous on the phone or on stage or whatever the case is. It's about not being uncomfortable. It's about not being, uptight. It's about not being the negative. It's not about being the positive. It's not about being positive. Alright? And Jen says when you just focus on the now, you can drop the negative you're carrying. Yeah, even if it's only the short term. Even if it's only for that 1 hour or 2 hours. Even if it's only for that half an hour, for that 20 minutes, whatever it is. Just by dropping the sack that's on your shoulders for that 1 hour, that can make all the difference between the words that you're using, the body language, the tone of voice that you have. All of those things can play a big part in how your message comes across. Alright? One of the things that I was talking to somebody about the other day was most of the communication that we give, most of the communication skills that people have is not actually the words that we use. more, like a higher percentage of the information that people take in is to do with our tone of voice, our body language, the way that we come across. Alright? So I know for a fact that when I first started doing videos and sales calls and I had my very, very first ever sales conversation, I felt like I was trying to sell myself first. Like I felt like I was trying to convince myself that what I was selling was worth it, rather than trying to convince the other person that it was worth it, which is the whole point. So it was like because I was so uncomfortable, because I was so unconfident in whatever it is I was doing, I didn't trust myself enough at the time. That rubs off onto the other person, because if you don't trust you, if you don't believe in you, if you're not confident in you, then how can you expect them to be? How can you expect them more of an expectation of you than you can? How can you expect others to think higher of you than you? Because they don't know you, but you know you. Alright, so you need to think about, they're never going to be able to meet you where you are, so you've got to give the best that you can. You've got to be as confident as you can. Alright, so then they get the positive impression from you, because the tone of voice and the body language is more important than the words that you actually use. And Jane also says, smiling on a sales call can make so much difference. Yeah, because this is why it's the same with like singing as well. Like people that do a lot of singing, a lot of speaking, and a lot of talking, 9 times out of 10 they're talking with a wider mouth, because that changes like just the airflow out of the mouth. It changes how you breathe, it changes how you speak, changes how you pronounce words as well to a certain extent, and it just comes across clearer, comes across more concise. And it's the fact that you're smiling, the fact that you're happy, they pick up on that as well, and it makes them happy. You know, very, very few people say no to things or go down a negative spiral once they smile, right? And it's the same with like trying to sell somebody. How many people say, no, sorry, it's terrible, there's no way I can afford it, and I've got absolutely no chance of thinking that you're worth the amount that you charge, right? Try saying that when you're in a very, very good mood, right? After the call where someone's put you in a good place, they've gone through the problems that you have, you've realised that you've got a solution for them, you've amped them up, you've gone in all confident, you've explained all the benefits of doing it, you've explained how everything is going to change by doing this. Do you want it? The price is reasonable. Will they say yes if you come across in the right way? They are more likely to say yeah than go in, oh well, it does an okay job. Because of the way you come across, you're just not going to get the same response. Alright? It's just impossible to get the same response. Alright? Because chances are they're going to respond the way you give. Right? If you give confidently, you're smiling, you're happy, you're doing all those things, you're jazzing yourself up before you go on, lo and behold, they will respond to that. Alright? They're always responding to whatever you give all the time. Alright? So the next hack really is an element of self-esteem. It is being, just liking yourself in the first place, believing that you are actually worth it, believing that you are good enough, believing that you're actually good at whatever it is that you're doing. It's not about being vain or being self-centered or any of those things, because don't forget, the option is you do that or you don't. And 9 times out of 10 the mindset things are things that you don't realise you need them until it's too late. So after you've done the sales call and you realise that your body language wasn't so great, you didn't really give them the benefits of what it was that was working with you, you weren't confident when you were revealing the price, you weren't very clear, there were lots of ums and pauses and ers and, oh well, maybe it'll do it, so there's not a lot of certainty in the way that you come across. This all stems back to the fact that you don't think that you're good enough to do it. You're not good enough to either deliver on the promise that you're making or good enough to actually sell the thing that you're selling, because sometimes we have this disconnect from whatever it is that we're selling and us as people, whether we link them too close together or otherwise, all right? Because there are people out there that sell £1 million cars. There are people out there that sell supercars, planes, things that are worth materialistically an awful lot of money. So the person selling those, yes, they have to be confident. Yes, they have to be in a position whereby they can tell people that already think they want the thing, right? Which is to do with your lead generation and the way you filter people out, and all those things. So someone that's going to come and buy that already semi-wants it. They just want to know either how they can buy or what it'll do for them, why it's better than all the others, all those things. But if that person links the thing that they're selling to their worth as a person, it's going to be very, very hard for them to bridge that gap and feel confident enough to sell it. And it's even harder when it's your service. So when I was a personal trainer or a tennis coach back in the day, it was because I was the person doing the work. I was the person doing the work. So if I didn't feel I was good enough, not necessarily to sell it, but to deliver the service, right? So when they start going through all the problems that they're having with their tennis, or they're struggling with their health and fitness, they can't lose the weight. Every time they get on the scales, it's like one at a time, please, and they're losing the same 10 pounds every year because they lose it and then they put it all back on, or it's like £2 up, £1 down, £2 up, £1 down, and it's all this constant cycle of, I just need something that actually stays off. I need weight that stays off, never comes back. I need something that works. I need something that is easy enough for me to do, so it is consistent, so it does stay off rather than come back on again. And they're just sick of going through that cycle. All right. As they're explaining that, when I first started, I wasn't sure if I was the solution they were looking for. I wasn't sure if I could actually finally solve that problem for them, because someone that's been through an awful lot of things before they then come to me and say, I really hope you're the last one here, mate, because, you know, I don't fancy going to somebody else again or trying this new thing, or the next option is surgery, and you just look at them going, I don't know, I've got no idea. That is going to impact your ability to sell. Not necessarily your belief in the product, because we all know personal training works, mindset coaching is amazing. The amount of impact that you can make through doing the work that you do is fantastic. But because you're the person delivering it, there is this disconnect between how good am I and then can I actually deliver the service that they want. So you've got to either disconnect yourself from the service, or realize that you are in fact good enough and you are in fact knowledgeable enough. You know your stuff enough to turn around and say, you know what, it either doesn't matter whether I think I can do it or not. I've got a system, put you through the system and it will work. Right? I know enough about the service to be able to deliver the service without it impacting my worth and my self-esteem and my belief as a person. Or you realise, okay, well, maybe I have to be a better person. Maybe I have to be more knowledgeable myself. Maybe I actually do have to read a couple of books in order to help this person. Maybe I do have to hit the research papers. Maybe I do have to speak to these people. Maybe I do have to consult a doctor to make sure that I understand their limitations, so I can deliver on what they want. Maybe you don't know enough or feel like you can deliver it right now. But are you the type of person that will see it and go, I can't do it? Or will you find a way? Will you find a way of putting yourself in that place whereby you can actually deliver? So this is more of a personality thing, all right? Do you find a way or not? So when the problem shows itself, do you find a way, or do you just accept the problem as what it is, and that's it? That's the roadblock, that's it, I can't get through it, all right? Which brings us on to the next thing, which is number 4, I think. So we've done belief, done self-esteem, done confidence. Number 4 is fear. So when all this happens, when all of these stories show up, it can be categorized, if you will, as fear. Now, does fear exist? Yes. Is it actually fear? For this particular training, I'm going to say yes, because your brain throws out a handful of stories and puts you down so many different spirals that it massively catastrophizes the problem. Right? Very long word for saying it makes things worse than it actually is. And it starts off so small, doesn't it? But it's like, oh, well, then I can't do this, and then I can't do that, and then, oh, that means this will happen, and that'll happen, and I won't get the income, which means I've got to, like, I don't know, downgrade my house, or maybe this means we live on, like, beans and sausage, or I've got no chance of being able to pay the rent, and what are these people going to think? What are these people going to say? The amount of people that turn around to me and say, I don't worry about what other people think of them, don't have enough important people in their lives, right? It's like, it depends on how important those people are, whether you worry about what they think or not. So you're like, oh, don't worry about anyone thinks of me. And it's like, well, you're going to live in a bubble then for most of your life then, because not enough people matter to you to actually want to work with other people and take other people's views into account, right? Because you don't know, you can't possibly know everything by yourself. So there's an element of like, oh, I don't care what other people think. And it's like, well, good luck then, because how do you expect to get anywhere without actually getting feedback from other people, right? We don't improve without the knowledge of others. So worrying about what other people think to greater or lesser degrees is the reality that people face. And this is something that fear exaggerates, as I said before. When you're in uncomfortable situations, things are exaggerated. So what we need to do, we need to make your current situation extremely comfortable, give you a massive margin for uncomfortableness, right? So things have to take a while before they become uncomfortable, for want of a better way of explaining it. So when things do hit the fan, you're still prepared. The easiest way to do that is to have a conversation with your fear. Don't avoid it, don't shy away from it, it doesn't help. Sometimes it's good to actually stare at the fear, analyse it, and then it goes away. Disappears off to, I don't know, Spain or somewhere. And you realise that, oh, it's not there anymore, so I can move forwards. I can't tell you how many cycles of up and down I've had over the past couple of months, because I know that if I don't actually do anything about it and try to put it off, or just imagine it's not there, just pretend, it'll keep crawling up to bite me, alright, all the time, because it thinks that it's getting what it wants and it's there in the background the whole time. So you need to have a conversation with it. You need to use things like logic, things like reason, things like evidence, things like proof. Chipping away at the fear is better than trying to ignore it. And a conversation with fear around, oh, is what you're telling me actually true? Is what you're telling me actually the case? And if it says yeah because of X, Y, and Z, then all this is going to happen, all that's going to happen, you've got to stop the fear in its tracks by asking another question, or ask the same question again. Is it true? Well, yeah, because this. Well, is that true? Yeah, because this. Is that true? And eventually, you get to a point when you question the fear so much that no matter what the fear says, you have an answer. No matter what questions fear pulls up for you, no matter what stories your brain throws out to you, you will always have an answer. You will have a response for what the fear throws at you. And this is how we start to go down this element of, okay, I can predict what the fear is going to say, and I have a pre-ready response for when fear shows up. So when we do this, I mean, it's a difficult situation, because you can either, right, create the stories, create the answers, and away you go. And then when fear shows up something completely new, you let it beat you up. Or you think, right, I've experienced fear before. I know the tactics that my fear uses. I know what it's going to do. I will write down the responses to those things. I will write down the actions that I'm going to take. And then whichever one it throws up at you, go, well, I've got this solution already over here. I can use that one. All right. So what tends to happen is we have a better relationship with fear, because A, we know when it shows up, we know what it does, and we have the response for it already. Because part of why fear wins a lot of the time is because we don't know what to do about it. The stories that it throws up, we haven't got a response for. We haven't got a, no, you can't be right because of this, that, and the other thing. If you've not got a response for it, and it becomes a fear of the unknown then, because you start to just go with fear, because fear is more certain than the alternative. So you need to make the alternative certain as well. So you've got it stacked up. So this is fear. This is how certain fear is. If you're here, fear's always going to win. So you need to give the solutions the level of certainty that you give fear already. Alright? So you need to build up the positive stories, because fear will throw out as many negative stories as it wants. Fear will throw out absolutely everything, and the kitchen sink, right? It will include the kitchen sink, okay? Fear will include the kitchen sink, I'm telling you now. But if you don't have a response for that, then you're going to break the window, alright? So what you have to do is you have to think, right, even when it throws the kitchen sink at me, I just open the window and it's disappeared, and I can deal with the situation again. Having your responses in place, having all of these things ready and waiting, give you the opportunity to sit there calm and collected as anything, because you already know what you're going to do as a result of the fear showing up. One of the best analogies I can give to that is martial arts, because I used to do martial arts as well, right? Specifically Taekwondo and karate for a certain number of years. And the best people out there were people that knew what you were going to do and had the response ready. That's it. So when you tried to kick them or throw them or punch them or do whatever, the master would walk in and go, oh, that's a punch, therefore I do this. Or he was trying to throw me that way, that I do this. This person's trying to kick me, then I will do this. So fear is trying to attack you. If you have the response ready, you feel like you are the master of your fear. You are controlling the fear. You're having a better relationship with the fear rather than the fear controlling you. And that is what it's all about. Which brings me to the last one. Number 5. I know, we made it to 5. And number 5 is your environment. Number 5 is, where are you spending your time? Are you always in a rush? So your sales calls are going to be rushed, okay? Because you're in a hurry. This is why a couple of months ago, maybe even a year ago now, I did something on stress-free time. How much can you do in a day whereby you've got enough time between gaps, between appointments, so that you're not as stressed? And that's pretty much how many you do in a day. That is how much you can get done in a day without the stress of one thing knocking over to the other thing. If you are rushed, if you are stressed, then that's going to impact the call. If you're, tired, maybe you didn't get enough sleep or whatever the case is, then that's going to affect the call as well. Your concentration is going to be off. You're not going to be able to focus on the person in front of you. Getting back to what I said before, your self-care, how you feel before you go into the call will affect the call itself. Are you relaxed? Are you breathing heavily because you're tired? Are you breathing slowly because you're relaxed? Think about the situation you're going in, think about the situation that you're going to be selling from, and then try to maximize your ability to handle yourself in that situation. Because if you're selling from stage, that is different from selling on a sales call. If you're selling from a written post, that's going to be different from selling from a video like this one. Okay, so you need to think about the environment that you're going to be in, and then think about how can I maximize how I approach and how I handle that situation. It could be energy, it could be thinking. So maybe if it's a sales call and you've got information on that person, maybe reading that information beforehand to help set the scene will help you on that call as well. I've had interviews with people on my podcast, and as I don't know anything about them, I've had to do my research on them a little bit, just so I'm not asking silly questions. Alright, sometimes the silly questions give the best answers, but having an element of, okay, do I need to be prepared before I go into this? Do I feel better when I'm more prepared? Yes or no? If the answer is yes, then you make sure you're prepared before you go on the sales call. So you've got to engineer your environment based on how you want to feel before the sales conversation or the sales environment starts to take place. Whenever I have client calls, I'm always relaxed. Alright, if I've got a paying client, I'm always relaxed. Always. Every single time. Alright, I have a process that I go through. Even if I'm stressed out, I will still go through my practice because that relaxes me. I am always relaxed and I'm always centered, always focused before I go into any of my client calls. So if you do ever get the chance to work with me, that is the version of me that you will see. Not this person that is shouting down the microphone and waving his arms about and doing all kinds of stories and making jokes and all these crazy things. I'm a different Mike when I'm being spoken to by a client, just because I deliver better coaching when I'm in that place. Right? I know that. Screaming at somebody, shouting at somebody, and going off on a bit of a rant at somebody is not the best version of me that gives the best results for the clients. Alright? So in a sales conversation, I'm also relaxed. I've also done my research on the person. I also try to make sure I've got at least 10 or 15 minutes beforehand, so I can center myself, I can relax, I can detach from the previous engagements that I had, and I can just focus on the sales call. So that is pretty much how I engineer my own environment. So have a think, how can you engineer your own environment? What would it take for you to be more confident and trust yourself? What part of yourself do you need to improve on so that your self-esteem goes up, so that you believe that you're worth whatever it is that you're selling? Maybe you can increase your prices if your self-esteem goes up. Maybe you can sell to more people at once if your confidence goes up. Maybe you can go from selling on sales calls to selling on webinars which might have 100 people on them, or whatever it happens to be. Alright, your scale can increase when you are in a place where you can handle it. Your environment can change, your environment can be enhanced when you can handle it. And it doesn't start with the environment, it doesn't start with that, it starts with you. Okay, so have a think. Let me know what your thoughts are on all of those 5 things. Belief in yourself, belief in a product and service, making sure that you reasonably high self-esteem. So do you like yourself? Do you put yourself in a good place, or do you hide away? Do you don't focus on, maybe don't do anything to do with your appearance whatsoever? Maybe you've let yourself go, maybe you don't go to the gym, maybe you don't maintain a high level of energy. Whatever it is, okay, you need to put yourself in a good place first before you can step into the roles that you actually want to step into. Alright, then we've got confidence, trusting yourself. Do you trust yourself in those situations? Can you handle it? Can you deliver on whatever it is that you're promising? Can you do whatever it is that you want to do? Alright? Can you fulfill whatever it is that you're trying to fulfill to your clients or to your customers? Hi Susan, you alright? Good to see you. And then we've got fear as well. I went on a bit of a rant about fear, because fear does create the stories and the situations and the actions and the decisions that are based on something that might not be true. So that is something else to think about as well. If you're watching the replay, if you're just diving on now, you'll probably have to go back, because we are nearly finished. And after fear, we've got the environment which I've just done, putting yourself in the best place so that you can deliver on the environment that you are spending the most time in. Alright, hopefully you've enjoyed it. If you have any questions, now is the time to put them in the comments down there somewhere. Let me know what questions you have. If I've answered them already, I will let you know. If you're watching live, you will probably be able to ask better questions, because you know what I haven't covered. So while you do that, I'm just going to mention very, very quickly a couple of things. First one, hopefully you like the new look of the group. So the name can't be changed because Facebook has a new policy now whereby you can only change your group name every 28 days. So I have to wait till next month in order to change the name. But basically, Entrepreneurs, Success and Sales Mindset, that is pretty much the name of the group. That is pretty much where it is going to stay. Everything's going to be based on selling, sales, and achieving the success that you want. Alright, trainings and all kinds are going to happen. I'm going to still be interviewing people, as always, on different subjects. So if you want to be considered, let me know. Next, on Monday next week, I'm going to be launching a sold out mindset. Alright, sold out mindset challenge. So if you want to sell out your products, sell out your services, you want to be oversubscribed, right? You want too many people, you want to be sold out. It's about a mindset, it's about going at things in the best possible mental state. And I've got a 7-day free challenge. It starts on Monday to Monday. It includes a couple of bits and pieces. I've got videos thrown in, and it's all to prepare you for mastery. That is the ultimate goal. So if you want in on that, it's completely free, and all you've got to do is hang out in the Facebook group, because it's all in the Facebook group. You don't have to opt into anything. You don't have to join a different group. You don't have to do any of those things. Hang out in the Facebook group. Stay tuned. Monday is day one, and you will get 7 days of content from me. These are like long posts-ish, so make sure you have a cup of coffee with you when you read those. There's going to be activities, tactics, ways of thinking, all of those good stuff for those 7 days. And I really hope you enjoyed the training. I really do. So hopefully you've enjoyed it. Let me know what you think. Spread the word about the group as well. So we are in the process of growing. 3 people have joined, which is awesome. Make sure, if the group is valuable to you, that you spread the word. Make sure you tell people. If you have your own group, maybe it's worth telling them about this one, because not everybody deals with mindset in the same way as I do. So if that is something that I quite like, the way Mike talks about mindset, and it's reasonably accurate, whatever the case is, right? Make sure it's your own thing. But I would appreciate it if you spreaded the word about the group and helped the group grow. That is what we are here for. Mindset is becoming more and more and more and more important, but I like to keep things practical, and I hope you enjoy that as well. Make sure you spread the word about the group, alright? The challenge starts on Monday. Make sure you dive in. I'm also offering 5 people the chance to work with me between now and Christmas. Alright, so Christmas, I know the C word, but it's getting close here in the UK. Not everybody here celebrates Christmas, and I do understand that. Christmas over here is well on its way. If you would like to work with me between then, I have 5 spaces, but these are application only, meaning you have to tell me that you want one of the 5 spaces. So you have to either comment below, so capital letters, me, right, M-E, you want one of the spaces, comment with me, or if you don't want to do that, you want to reach out to me privately, you can do that as well. But these 5 places are application only. If you want one, let me know. We can get things booked in. Hopefully you have an amazing day wherever you are. I know I enjoyed myself. I hope you enjoyed yourself as well. I have got a few more things to do before I finish for the day. Hopefully you have an amazing day, and I will speak to you tomorrow. Alright, take care. Thanks for tuning in.